Today, by long-term request from a fan on the channel, we're going to talk about the Italian club Lazio, who are based in Rome. If you know your regions within Italy, you'll probably see from the name Lazio that this club wants to represent more than just the city of Rome, seeing as Lazio is the region surrounding and encompassing Rome, whose capital it is. This club was founded right at the beginning of the 20th century in 1900, actually on January 9th, so right there at the beginning. During Mussolini's dictatorship in Italy, this was the one club based within the Rome area that was not combined together to form AS Roma. Those are their biggest rivals. And a rival they viciously hate. The rivalry between Lazio and Roma, known as Derby della Capitale or the Rome Derby, is one that's vicious and fiery, one of the biggest and most important in Italy and across Europe. The two clubs share the same stadium at the moment, even though both have tried but failed to build out their own stadiums in the last decade or so. It's in the northwest of Rome. It's called the Stadio Olimpico. It's massive. It's a beautiful old stadium, and it's one that hosts the Coppa Italia, or the Italian Cup final, every single season. When it comes to their sets of ultra fans, Lazio generally are more right-leaning politically, and Roma are more left-leaning. It's a little simplified because it's based on more of the minority groups within ultra groups. There have been a lot of contentious things as far as politics when it comes to this matchup and this club. All that aside, let's just go into talking about their football. The jersey itself is a little bit of a rare one here, seeing as they generally wear an all sky blue kit. This one has a divide between white on top, blue on the bottom, split by their most common symbol, the eagle in the middle, which you'll see on their badge as well in gold at the top. On the back of the kit, I have the name of a man that always should be an argument for one of their finest players of all time, probably top three in my consideration, as being Ciro Immobile, a man that they call King Ciro. Fantastic striker and always underrated, pretty much always bags at least 15, 20 goals season to season for them. The other two names that I would put into that consideration for finest Lazio player ever would be first Alessandro Nesta, a man and a name you may know if you followed AC Milan at any point this century. You know that he spent the first 10 years of his professional career playing at Lazio. That's where he really made his name originally, earning his move to AC Milan following some financial difficulties at the beginning of this century for Lazio, which is very sad for the club because he was their captain during their best and finest period, which would be about 1998 to the year 2000. The other is Silvio Piola, one of the older strikers in the history of Italian football and what I consider to be one of two archetypes that build the Italian striker of modern football. It's him and Giuseppe Meazza, a man whose name sits on the San Siro stadium that AC Milan and Inter Milan play in. This man played a more efficient, easy on the eye, but not flashy kind of style of play. He would score goals. They wouldn't be the pretty ones, but he would put them in with efficiency and a very simple style of play. Giuseppe Meazza was the more flashy, flamboyant, ability to dribble and wow you kind of player. There are two styles. Ciro Immobile kind of is a mix of both in many different ways. To take a look at silverware for the club, they've won 2 Scudetti, or the Serie A league title, the latest coming in the year 2000. They've also won the Coppa Italia 7 times, as well as the Supercoppa Italiana 5 times. And on international titles, they've won 2 of them. The Cup Winners' Cup, the final one of that rendition, as well as the UEFA Super Cup, both in 1999, to put a point on the fact that that and the year 2000 were the finest years in the club's history. Under Sven-Göran Eriksson, they won a League Cup double, as well as winning these 2 titles and the league. Unfortunately, there would be a slide in quality after that due to financial difficulty off the pitch. Many of their best players had to be sold to make up those losses, declining what could have been a bigger rise and solidification of the club within Italian football amongst the giants like both Milan clubs and Juventus. I think Lazio are sitting at the same kind of fork in the road as they did at that time. And while financial difficulty isn't part of the equation this time, they are sitting at the point where they are a successful club again, and they are on the precipice of potentially going even further. They're back in the Champions League for the only second time in the last 15 years. They finished second in the league last season with a great, if understated, season, seeing as Napoli, with a longer title drought, took a lot of the spotlight instead of them. This could be a coming season where Lazio solidify themselves and move further up the table in Serie A, seeing as the traditional power of Juventus has fallen off in the last couple of seasons. After spending most of the last decade winning the league continuously, AC Milan, Inter Milan, and Napoli have won the last 3 titles, with Lazio right there in the mix, although only a step away from winning a title. This could be their season, or within the next couple years, consistently being in the top 4 in Italy and in Champions League football. A lot of if that potential can come into reality is going to come down to if they can hold on to the players that have brought them to this position, that being Mattia Zaccagna, who had a fantastic breakout season last year, as well as players like Luis Alberto, who've been with the club for a while, who needs to take a bigger opportunity in attacking and creating opportunity for goal scoring through Ciro Immobile, now that Milinkovic-Savic has left the club, as well as on the other side, can they bring in new players that will further that momentum that they have? The first one they've used in this offseason is Tati Castellanos, a man you might know from NYCFC, has just been brought in. He's probably going to compete with Immobile, probably pair with him as well to be those goal-scoring threats. And if he can really stake his claim, with Immobile getting a bit older, that may keep the momentum going for the club. So that's your rundown on SS Lazio, with a lot of American fans probably taking a look at Serie A this coming season, as we know that Christian Pulisic and probably soon Yunus Musa are moving to AC Milan. That focus is going to be there, with that being one of the favorite players in the United States. Keep an eye out for Lazio if you want an alternative from AC Milan, and also just keep an eye out for them in general because they are going to compete for the top of the table this coming season.